Sometimes the hardest part of loving a baby is not the crying. It is not knowing what the crying means. You feed them, rock them, burp them, change them, and still something feels off. That uncertainty can shake a parent. Because sometimes your baby is not asking for more effort. They are asking for a different kind of emotional presence. That is the hidden misunderstanding behind so many exhausting days. We treat behavior like disruption instead of communication from inside. The baby who suddenly clings at bedtime is not necessarily becoming spoiled. They may be feeling less sure of connection. The baby who looks away during play is not always bored. Sometimes that tiny turn means, I need less input. The baby who cries when you finally sit down is not trying to control you. They are noticing a shift. And once you see those moments differently, routines start revealing something bigger. Your baby is building their map of safety. Emotional safety sounds abstract until you live with a baby. Then it shows up everywhere, especially in the smallest transitions. It shows up when you leave the room, return with a smile, rush a diaper change, or soften before sleep. It shows up in feeding struggles, in sudden fussiness after visitors, and in those evenings when nothing seems to work. And surprising truth is that babies feel emotionally safer through patterns. Tiny daily patterns teach them what to expect. 3 habits matter more than most parents realize. Not expensive products, not schedules. Habits your baby feels in their body. The first habit is noticing feelings before correcting behavior. The second is building predictability. The third is repairing overwhelm quickly. None of these habits require endless time. They ask for something harder sometimes. Your attention when stress tempts you elsewhere. Because babies do not measure love by your intentions alone. They experience love through rhythm, response, repair, and emotional consistency. When that consistency grows, the infant brain relaxes enough to explore. When it disappears, even simple moments can feel threatening. That is why a loud toy can seem fine one day and unbearable another. The nervous system never responds alone. It responds with memory, fatigue, hunger, connection, and whatever happened 20 minutes earlier. Babies carry context before they understand events. So let us start with the first habit, because it changes almost everything. Notice the feeling before addressing behavior first. If your baby arches away during feeding, it is easy to assume rejection, but overwhelm can look exactly like refusal. If your baby suddenly cries during play, the toy may not be the problem. Their system may already be full. If your baby stiffens when a relative leans in close, that reaction is not rudeness, it can be protection instead. Babies often signal discomfort quietly before they cry loudly. They yawn, avert their gaze, squirm, pause, or lose coordination suddenly. Those small cues matter because they give parents a doorway. Respond there, and you may prevent a much bigger unraveling. This is where emotional safety begins to feel practical. Your baby learns, my signals reach someone before panic takes over. That lesson shapes the brain more than people realize. Being understood lowers distress and helps organize sensations into something manageable. Adults often want to fix behavior fast because crying feels urgent. Babies often need connection first because distress feels disorganizing. That does not mean every cry needs soothing. It means your response should match the feeling, not just the inconvenience. A tired whimper needs something different than a startled scream. A frustrated grunt needs something different than lonely evening tears. Parents become more accurate when they stop asking, how do I stop this? And start asking what is happening inside. That question settles you first. When you slow down, your baby suddenly has somewhere safer to land for big feelings. At bedtime, this difference can be dramatic. A baby resisting sleep may be signaling separation stress, not simple stubbornness alone. Sleep requires trust. Your baby has to release control, enter vulnerability, and believe comfort still exists when they cannot monitor. So if your evenings feel hardest, do not only ask what routine works, ask what kind of reassurance landed. Sometimes 1 minute of undivided attention before the crib changes the whole night, not because of magic, because of security. A familiar song, the same phrase, the same touch, the same final cuddle, all tell the brain what comes next. Predictability lowers the amount a scanning babies must do, and when scanning decreases, settling becomes easier because safety feels expected. The same principle appears during diaper changes. A baby who screams on the table may hate the sudden exposure there. Cold air, bright light, quick hands, hunger, and loss of contact can stack fast. Babies experience the whole sequence intensely. When parents narrate gently and move predictably, babies often protest less. The body prefers transitions that feel explained and paced. Even before language, the voice carries structure. It tells your baby something is happening, and I am with you here. That is why a calm play-by-play can regulate, not because babies understand words fully, but because timing reassures. Emotional safety is built through thousands of these tiny moments, not grand lessons, but felt experiences that repeat reliably, daily. And once you see this, clinginess starts looking different too. A clingy baby is often checking whether connection remains available. That checking behavior is especially strong during developmental leaps. New abilities make the world larger, but larger can feel shakier. A baby learning to crawl may suddenly need more holding. Independence is growing, but so is awareness of distance now. A baby noticing strangers may bury their face in your shoulder. That is not weakness. It is intelligent discrimination developing. Their brain is sorting safe from unfamiliar. Your presence becomes the anchor that helps them study the world without flooding. So if your baby suddenly becomes more attached, do not assume regression. Sometimes greater clinginess signals greater awareness arriving now. Seen that way, closeness stops looking like a bad habit. It looks like the platform from which confidence eventually grows. This is the heart of secure attachment. A baby explores best when they trust comfort is available without confusion nearby. Notice how often babies return to your face during something new. They are not distracted, they are referencing safety there. That glance says, "Are you with me? Is this okay? Should my body stay open?" It is social learning. When your face answers with warmth and steadiness, your baby receives information beyond language. The world may be manageable now. When your face looks tense, distracted, or suddenly blank, the message shifts. Babies can feel uncertainty without understanding its cause. That does not mean you must perform calm constantly. It means your baby benefits when difficult moments still include repair. Repair is one of the most overlooked forms of safety. It teaches, even when things go wrong, connection returns safely. Maybe you got impatient during evening. Maybe you changed brooms abruptly. Maybe your tone sharpened because exhaustion took over. You do not erase attachment with one hard moment. What matters next is whether your baby feels reconnection happen now. That can sound like, "I know that felt hard. I am here." Your baby does not need perfection to trust. They need enough experiences of rupture, followed by repair. Enough experiences of distress, followed by help. Enough returns after separations. This is one reason reunions matter so much. The moment you come back teaches as much as the separation itself. If you re-enter distracted on the phone, moving fast, your baby may seem extra needy. They are recalibrating safety now. If you re-enter warmly, pause, and really see them, the body often softens. Return becomes part of security today too. A tiny reunion ritual can matter more than parents expect. A smile, touch, phrase, or crouching down becomes familiar quickly. Familiarity tells the baby brain this connection has continuity. Even when you leave, there is a reliable way back again. That brings us to the second habit, predictability. Emotional safety increases when daily life feels patterned enough to anticipate things. Predictability is not the same as rigidity. It is not about controlling every minute. It is about recognizable rhythms daily. Babies relax when the day has shape. Feeding tends to happen around familiar intervals. Sleep comes with familiar cues too. Bath, lotion, pajamas, dim lights, song, cuddle. None of those steps is magical alone. Together, they create orientation and expectation. Orientation matters because babies cannot prepare for surprises the way adults can. Sudden changes hit their system with full intensity. Think about the evening when your baby seems strangely frantic. Maybe nothing happened except everything happened without warning or rhythm. The lights stayed bright, the television stayed loud, dinner ran late, and bedtime arrived all at once. That feels jarring. Your baby may not have words for that overload, but their body absolutely records abruptness, unpredictability, and rising stress levels. Consistent routines lower the need to constantly scan for what happens next. That frees energy for digestion, play, and sleep. This is especially important for sensitive babies. Some infants notice every sound, facial shift, room change, and timing disruption instantly. Parents sometimes call these babies dramatic, but many are just exquisitely responsive, which means predictability helps them stay organized internally. A predictable morning matters too. Waking, feeding, changing, opening curtains, hearing your voice, those repeated anchors help the day begin. Babies are incredible pattern detectors. Long before language, they are learning what usually happens after hunger, after sleep, after tears. When your responses are wildly inconsistent, stress rises faster. Not because you are failing, but because prediction becomes harder today. And prediction is one of the building blocks of safety. The brain calms down when it can anticipate relief coming. That is why even a simple phrase repeated daily can help. The words become a bridge into familiar territory now. Maybe you always say, "I am right here" before naps. Maybe you hum the same melody while fastening pajamas nightly. Those rituals are not meaningless extras. They become cues that help the nervous system prepare instead of brace itself unnecessarily. And when routines get disrupted, babies often show you quickly. More tears, shorter naps, clingier evenings, harder feeds follow soon. That does not mean you must live by a stopwatch. It means transitions need gentleness whenever the pattern changes unexpectedly. Travel days, visitors, appointments, and holidays all bring novelty. Novelty can be exciting, but excitement often rides alongside stress too. On those days, predictability can shrink down to essentials. Your voice, your touch, familiar feeding, familiar sleep, familiar reconnection matter. In other words, routine is not about rules. It is about giving your baby repeated landmarks inside a changing world. The third habit might be the most comforting for overwhelmed parents. Repair overstimulation before expecting your baby to cooperate calmly. Overstimulation is one of the most misread baby experiences. It can masquerade as hunger, defiance, sleeplessness, or sudden tears easily. A baby can be exhausted and still unable to settle. A baby can want closeness and resist being held simultaneously. That contradiction confuses parents because it looks irrational, but dysregulation often looks mixed, messy, and hard to decode in life. Picture the baby who rubs their eyes yet cries harder when rocked. They may be tired and overstimulated together now. Or the baby who arches away after a busy family gathering. They might want relief, not distance from you now. Sometimes the most regulating move is actually reducing input. Less talking, less bouncing, dimmer lights, slower hands, quieter space helps. Parents naturally add stimulation when babies seem upset. More motion, more sound, more singing, more trying. Sometimes that backfires badly. The baby is not rejecting comfort. They may be rejecting intensity. Comfort lands better when it arrives in smaller doses. This is where pacing matters. A pause before lifting, a breath before shushing, a slower sway instead of urgency helps. Babies often calm when adults become less busy around them. The room gets simpler and their nervous system follows suit. That is not accidental. The infant brain is constantly filtering sensation, and too much sensation can feel like danger nearby. When overload rises, access to settling drops. So the goal is not teaching a lesson there. It is restoration first. Restoration might look like holding your baby against your chest or stepping into a darker room and saying less there. It might mean pausing the errands, ending the visit early, or abandoning the perfect schedule because your baby is flooded. Parents sometimes fear this creates dependency. Actually, it teaches recovery. Your baby learns overwhelm does not have to last forever. That learning becomes a template. Big feelings can be survived. Discomfort can move through. Help can arrive before panic hardens. This is especially powerful after outings. Maybe your baby seemed fine at the store, then melted down in the car. Parents often assume the meltdown came from nowhere, but many babies hold themselves together in stimulation, then crash afterward hard. The crying after the outing is still about the outing. It is delayed stress unloading through the safest available relationship. That relationship is usually you, which means you see the aftermath more than the strain. That can feel unfair sometimes. But there is a strange comfort in that too. Babies unload where they trust the ground will hold them safely. So when your baby falls apart after a long day, try reading it as trust plus overload, not failure tonight. This perspective also changes how you see smiling. A smile is lovely, but it is not the only safety signal. Sometimes emotionally safe babies do something less obvious. They relax their limbs, breathe deeper, gaze softly, or rest fully there. Sometimes they protest honestly because they trust a relationship can hold truth. Safety does not always look easy or quiet. That is important because many parents worry when babies express distress freely, but suppression is not the same as security. A secure baby still cries, resists, startles, and needs help. The difference is they can return from distress with support. That return is everything. Emotional safety is not about never getting upset. It is about not staying lost there long. And parents need that reassurance too. You are not failing because your baby has big feelings. They are human too. Your job is not preventing every cry, every frustration, every wobble. Your job is becoming a trustworthy place through them. That place gets built in ordinary habits. Notice feelings early. Create predictable rhythms. Repair overload before demanding cooperation or independence. When you practice the first habit, your baby feels understood. When you practice the second, your baby feels oriented daily. When you practice the third, your baby learns intense moments are survivable. Together, those habits become a home inside them. And that home travels forward, into toddler tears, preschool goodbyes, playground courage, friendships, school stress, and eventually self-talk too. Because what babies repeat with you becomes part of how they handle themselves later. Early safety slowly becomes inner safety. Not overnight and not in a straight line, but through repetition, your baby starts expecting connection instead of chaos first. That expectation changes exploration, sleep, feeding, play, and recovery. It changes how much energy goes into growth versus defense daily. So if your baby has been extra clingy lately, pause before labeling it. Closeness may be the treatment request today. If your baby has been fighting sleep, pause before escalating. They may need a softer bridge into separation and rest. If your baby melts down after busy days, pause before assuming bad habits. Their overloaded body may be asking recovery. If your baby turns away during play, pause before feeling rejected. They may trust you enough to ask less input. And if you're tired, touched out, and unsure whether any of this is working, that feeling belongs.